Anyway, my name is Mike Underhill, and it's my pleasure actually to introduce the speaker this evening. But okay, right, I'd like to actually welcome you to the talk, which is given by Dr. Aijuan Wang, and I'll just say a few words which I've got written out here, if I can read them. Aijuan is Managing Director of AJ Power Limited and provides consultancy service to support project identification, development, procurement and construction in clean and renewable energy. So that's right on the topic that she's going to talk about tonight. Now, quite an illustrious past. Aijuan was Technical Director at Atkins and Director of Power in McDonald, responsible there for strategy, business development, professional excellence, innovation, project delivery, so a whole raft of useful things. Now, her professional expertise lies in master planning, energy economics, electricity markets, artificial intelligence and business modelling. Again, quite a raft of skills on that. And she's used that to advise lots of governments and so on and so forth. And she's got a pretty respectable list of publications to go with it. Anyway, the talk is, well, let her talk about it, but basically it starts, I suppose, on June the 27th, 2019, and I'll let Aijuan explain what all that is all about. Over to you, Aijuan.
Thank you. Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
That works very well.
It's my great pleasure to meet you here today. It just gives me so much nice memory every time I come to IET events. I joined IET in 1995 when I was a student doing my PhD. And that was ages ago, and then next year I become chartered engineer. So as Mike, Professor Underhill just mentioned, I worked in two consultancy companies before. One is McDonald from 1998 to 2020, for 22 years, and then 2 years with Atkins on nuclear projects. But today, this evening, my topic is on electricity market in broadly. So building a new net zero energy future, I don't know what the indicate is on the broad sense is on the energy outlook or forecasting or planning in our traditional language, in old-time language. So the background of this topic is, we know in our government, UK government signed a law to committed to decarbonise our whole economy by 2050. That is the signed law in 2019. So that made Britain as the first major economy legally have this legally binding target. Therefore, since then, I think every sector or business in our country all work very hard to have a plan ready, actually not just plan, but also implement, do something to reduce the carbon emission things. So in this topic, I mainly focus, the aim is, of course, is the whole economy decarbonized, but from the angle of electricity industry, because our energy industry need to be decarbonized sooner, long before 2050, in order to achieve 2050 the whole economy net zero. I will come to that in a second. So this is a background. Now, I have this table of contents, just give you a brief idea what is structure is this talk. This talk will cover quite wide range of things. I try to condense them into 1 hour. If I'm talking too long, you say set alarm. Give me a ticket, yeah. So firstly, I will refresh or introduce the concept of what is net zero, what is zero carbon. So there's two different things. And then I also refresh your memory about electricity, how to measure quality of electricity, how to run power system. If you are already a power system engineer, you may know this already. But like me, I'm a power system engineer. And the second part, I will take a look at where we are today in terms of energy supply and consumption, in terms of carbon emission, what we are doing today. And next one is decarbonized energy in 2035. I will explain why 2035, and the whole economy in 2050. So section 5, section 3 is quite extensive, but I'll spend more time to explain. Actually, when we go to section 3, 5, or 4, they all quite get gradually build up, get heavier. So I can keep you awake. Section 4, 3, and then challenges. Oh gosh, 4 to 5 numbering. I'm sorry, I'm already fast asleep. Something like 5 is changes required to deliver net zero. 4 is challenges, and then this will be followed by opportunities. Actually, opportunities, I think when I'm driving here, opportunities on this side, in this section is quite concise. I only focus on, as a consumer, if you're a household, what you can do. Because if you talk about opportunity, there are many. So net zero provides us all opportunities we can see, all the constructions we are doing today. Every single job, project, every single one. So that's too broad. So my focus is on one topic. You already said that, demand flexibility services. So let's see. Now, background. What is net zero? Why I mentioned already, is Paris Agreement we signed, and our country signed as well in 2015 to control the temperature rise under 1.5 degree. Although now we may slip, but all the signatories countries we all try to comply with that. So that is the driver of net zero. So what is net zero and zero carbon? Net zero means some activities can still have emission, carbon emission. Carbon emission is very vague now. It's collective term because the greenhouse gases has 7 type of gases. So all other 6 gases, they have more concentrate than CO2. CO2 reference is 1, used as a reference as 1, coefficient is 1. All others, they are like 800 or 1,000 or dozens. All that coefficient is very high. So net zero that means any amount of carbon emission created can be balanced by taking the same amount from our atmosphere. Like carbon capture is one example. So zero carbon means no carbon emission at all produced from any activity. So you will see me use these 2 terms, or there is another one, decarbonisation, in different occasions. That means slightly different things. Just 2025, why we can run a zero carbon system. That means really, really a zero carbon system. It's not net zero. Net zero for 2050 is net zero. So, in power sector, electricity is generated from carbon-free sources such as renewables, hydro, and nuclear, etc., like bio energy. National Grid, ESO, has ambitions to run zero carbon electricity system by 2025 and achieve an energy supply net zero by 2035. So I will talk about what is this difference. 2025 is what part, and 2035 the scope different. Continuing on this background part is role of networks in energy supply. So as we know, power networks, transmission, distribution together is transportation infrastructure to take electrons generated in power plants and then send them to end users. So power networks will have towers, lines, cables, substations at various voltage level, and control centers, control rooms, hardware, software, communication networks. So that is power networks. And then how electricity is measured, quality is measured. Because electricity, you cannot see electricity, but you can feel. We have lights, we have our laptop and other devices. So electricity is measured by three fundamental, this is first tier criteria. One is frequency. So frequency is magnitude, is value and shape. And shape, very strict sine shape, sine wave. So we know in the world we have 50 hertz, most kind of 50 hertz, some 60 hertz. So that's top. Voltage, also value as well. We don't talk about direction yet, it's just value. The third one is reliability. The reason I mention this because today, if you see all the new products and services, procurements, they are quite dynamic. Containment, for instance, or lots of products they designed and how electricity market run, why they need these different pieces, bits and pieces, different market and different things. It's because of this. It's frequency, voltage, and reliability. These three top layer. So there are three fundamental parameters to measure the quality of electricity. And then, of course, there are other measures like angle, the long lines, you have angle issue, harmonics and flares, etc. Right, where we are today. This is an energy flow chart in 2020. Now, our energy supply and consumption was 15,077 terawatts per hour. So you don't need to remember exactly, but if you can remember this, will help you later on to see our future scenario, the direction how the industry or whole economy will travel to is to reduce. Actually, we grow, but we grow economy, we grow everything, but we reduce energy consumption and production. I will show you how that can be achieved. So in this diagram, on the left-hand side, give you an indication about what type of energy we produce today, and also value as well, value terawatt hour. So a big chunk of it is still natural gas. Yeah, it's still natural gas. So we have natural gas, nuclear, solar, offshore wind, onshore wind, renewable or import and other renewables, because renewables are biomass and other stuff. On the bottom, this part, what did I do? 480 terawatt hour energy. That is energy spent on transport system. So remember, on this side, it's not just the electricity sector; it's the whole thing, whole economy. On the right-hand side is the main customers or customer types. We have three types of customers. One is industry and commercial. The industry, commercial. The next one is residential, and the third one and surface transport, road and rail, excluding aviation and shipping. And on the bottom, there's a small interconnector export. On the bottom is losses. I don't think losses is good terminology, but I think losses is actually considered conversion efficiency. For instance, when we convert natural gas to electricity, it will be efficiency. It can't be 100%. I think it's quite efficient. CCGT units, 50%, maybe more. H-class, maybe higher. I don't know. I can't remember the exact number now. Used to be. So that actually including that. And this one type. Another is real losses, like in the transmission line, heat, you will lose electricity. And in power plant, it's the same. And you have heat loss as well. So losses is that. So if you're excluding losses, these three major customers, they are almost one-third, one-third, one-third. So going down. This table, I produced this table to look. Yeah, actually, I told you a conclusion already on this side. When I work out this, the proportion of each type of customer, this table on the right side, you can see the percentage they represent. Yeah, our residential customer actually use quite a lot. Yeah. One thing I haven't got to the bottom, I think home heating should be classified in residential, yeah, because despite the IMC industry commercial, they also have, yeah, they should classify in that. And on the right-hand side is our energy sources. And we see that earlier. This chart is actually very interesting. I have lots of information. So I give it a name. I think I found that in the ONS website. This is a piece of, I think this chart, when you look at it, of course, is a generation mix, but very clear, year by year, generation mix, tell you that. And also, they show evolution of generation mix as well. As you can see from here, over the last 2 decades, the coal and oil, this purple bit, they are getting smaller and smaller until in the last few years, 10 years or 7, 8 years, they are disappearing, which is good news. That means we're working on climate change issues. And on the other hand, the wind and renewables, wind, solar stuff, they are growing, the green part. Gas, well, ups and downs in the middle, but still not reduced dramatically, but reducing. It's smaller. 2020 is smaller on the other side. And we have small hydro in the UK. Nuclear, I think, a decline. We used to have quite big nuclear, 27% in terms of terawatt hour science. Yeah, unit, but now it will get smaller in the next 10 years until, well, I hope Hinkley will be commissioned by then. Because another 2 existing fleet, plants in the existing fleet, scheduled to close to decommissioning. Less than 10 years. Yeah. So nuclear is actually, we need more. We need Hinkley to be commissioned and SMR somehow, or seismic. Yeah. So that is message. That is one way to look at where we are today. The second measure is emission. This is more direct. There are different measures when we talk about emission. Most people talk about total value, quantity, how many millions or CO2, million tons of CO2. That is a common way to. So I thought maybe to see where we are in the UK, I use this three pieces of information. One is to see where we are in the world. The good news is we are not in the top 14. I only managed to go that far. Didn't get the home. I'm sure if we look at 100, UK will be somewhere. We have emission, so on the bottom. So that's good news. Worldwide, UK's emission is small. Right? But in Europe, we are second largest after Germany. And then there are other countries. That's the scale of Europe. And then come back to our own country, I thought it would be interesting to see. It's not to blame any sector, but see the distribution, well, contribution, which sector contribute more, or which type of technology or whatever contribute more to ultimate CO2 emission or equivalent. So equivalent must be always used, because when we talk about cows, it's not CO2, but it's one of the GHGs. So therefore, this one is UK, so emission by sectors. In fact, the transportation or surface transport, just by looking at this, I think they are contributing more, and then followed by buildings, and then it's manufacture and constructions. Electricity is very similar. I think electricity, the purple one is actually quite small, very maybe similar to agriculture. So this is a comparison or overview. Now, so I drill it down from top and to the bottom to more detail. So this slide is to look at electricity carbon intensity in the electricity sector. The good news is the trend, if we look at the same time period from 2009 to 2021 or to 2021, the carbon intensity is reducing. This is very, very clear and consistent reducing. So that graph shows the electricity supply sectors. And this map, UK map, this is also a comparison. One on the left-hand side is on a strong wind day, because offshore wind produces more renewables than other stuff, onshore wind or solar. So it's very important when we choose this day when offshore wind is doing good. So that side is have a good day. When we have a good day, we have so much green energy produced. On the right-hand side is another extreme when offshore wind is low in the country. So this is carbon intensity by location. Every location. Another even better news is very, very recently, I saw this in the news piece, is on 10th of April. National Grid recorded the lowest ever in our history, 33 gram per kilowatt hour, a new record carbon intensity this year, due to the high level of wind and solar. So this is where we are. Next section, I'm going to talk about future. So we know where we are now, today, and now is how to get net zero in 20 or by 2050. By 2050. So this diagram is give you overview about 4 scenarios. And I'll come back to that later, because there are lots of interesting things in this. If you worked in power sector for like 20 years or 30 years, or you knew it before, it amazed me a lot, to be honest, especially this y-axis. Because as an industry, for so many years, what we try to do is to supply electricity as a product or services to customers, consumers, to support the economy. We didn't think about, can we ask our customer to reduce, to change their behavior? But now we do. So very, very interesting, inspiring, very inspiring. I'll come to that later. So future energy. So I must declare, in this section, you largely use lots of information and including this graph and pictures, images, from a report produced by National Grid. It's called the Future Energy Scenarios. They do this for many years. I think it's about 30 years. So there is a large team of people doing this all around the year. Because doing this work, this report, inactive version is 230 pages, and then if you want to see every picture, you have to print or get the detailed one, which is 390 pages, which is much shorter than grid code. That's good news. Grid code is more than 1,000 pages. Yeah, for quite a long time. So, but I think this is a very important document. It's set fundamentals for lots of work, like 10-year statement, the transmission plan, and then the investment plan, appraisal, and lots of work will be built on this. And like the government also use that. Other stakeholders, not just National Grid, use this phase as a fundamental, like a Bible book. They all use that. So in this one, they set 3 milestones. I think the government gave the National Grid this job. So the first one is by 2025, electricity system carbon-free operation. What does that mean? Actually, I think, I can't remember the date, but last year we had a short time period, a few days, purely clean energy. So that means we have offshore wind, onshore wind, solar, and nuclear, and hydro. Most likely in summer season, like from now to September, this 6 months. Demand is low and all the renewables is good. So by using hydro and wind and together with some battery now, that's good. So the system can work. But in winter it's harder, much harder. So that's 2025 is carbon free. That means carbon zero. So like this. By 2035. Is to decarbonize the whole energy system. What is difference? I will come to talk about. And by 2050, is whole economy CO2 net zero. CO2 net zero. So the whole system thinking is to put the whole thing, because when we say our country need to be net zero by 2050. So what? So what? What should I do? So what National Grid did is, I think, is quite logical. Firstly, they look at the networked generation of energy. So all the electricity or gas or whatever come to the network, so they can record it precisely. They have direct control or dispatch. So that is the first part. They look at the networked energy. That's one scale. And then go to next part, extend it to whole energy. So the whole energy is networked plus those petrol, diesel, transport, so other, and the shipping, off-grid energy. So everything off-grid energy. And then we extend it to whole economy. So the whole economy carbon emission equals whole energy plus agriculture, forestry, waste, and livestock. So this is how we evaluate the whole issue. That's that. Okay. Now, remember. I think I may get page. Oh, okay. Remember the first page on this in this section. I show you the four scenarios. Frankly, as with any forecast or outlook, the only way you can handle future uncertainties is by setting up scenarios. Because there are so many variations, and then in the future you look at in 20 years' time, and this 20 plus years. So that's the only way we can do it. So therefore, they set up these four different and credible pathways that consider how much energy terawatt hour might need it, and where it could come from. So I go back to that page. So this is four scenarios. The reason I use this one, I think it is very logical. If you understand, because when you think, oh, okay, four scenarios, what factors I should consider? The reason I say this is very good work, is because I think it's coincidence. Maybe just me noticed this. I think it was 2020, before Christmas, our government published a white paper, energy white paper. Do you remember that? And I, just for the sake of interesting, I read it over the Christmas. And guess what? In the appendix, they have a modeling work. And the one page they mentioned, oh, it's so complicated, such complicated work. We modeled how many hundreds of thousands of scenarios. I was shocked. I said, if you model so many, do you know what are you doing? I don't know. So, but National Grid condensed all the variations, future uncertainties in these four scenarios. This is a very good piece. That's one thought. Another is, as I said, maybe it's easy to think the speed of decarbonization as one of the key drivers. Because if we want to be like steady, no worries, we'll get there eventually. Take that attitude. So scenarios may be different. Yeah. So that is easy to think, but the vertical axis is indeed very innovative, because at some point 10 years ago, I had so many discussions with DEC. I just didn't believe it is possible. It's too hard. Even before, I think I was in May, there was energy dialogue in Westminster. I debated with this director. I said, we must not set up a task which our country cannot achieve. He said, well, do you mind thinking that way? I said, it's just, it's not easy. But when I say that, my mind was so stubborn. I just felt how much megawatts, gigawatts we have to build to achieve that. How much money we have to spend. But now, if we say, customer, you change your behavior change. If you change a little bit, it can help a lot. You will find out that in the end. So societal change. So the logic is this. These four scenarios, falling short is the one we cannot achieve 2050 if we carry on what we do today, not accelerating. That's that. Leading the way is most aggressive scenario, which means we will use whatever technology becomes available straight away. So there are some narratives there. So fastest and need more societal change as well. And then in the middle, between these are two extremes, falling short and leading the way. We have customer transformation and system transformation. So easy way to remember this is customer transformation is put customer in the driving seat. So customer, do you want net zero? We all want. Okay, and then can you please cooperate? You do this, you do that. Yeah. And in fact, the hidden situation, I don't know whether they say this, is heating our buildings. So I will tell you that later. If you live in a Victoria house, and so if we go to this route, that means you have to spend lots of money. The green transformation scenario is put the electricity, energy sector, kind of in driving seat. More directly, I would say, is to use hydrogen to replace natural gas for boiler, whereas another tool leading the way and a customer transformation, heat pumps. So that key difference. And there are many differences. There are others. I summarize in this table. If I have put dots or not stars or dots, more dots of stars I put means there are more. So I don't want to put in numbers. With lots of numbers, already quite a lot. So in these four scenarios, the main factors I put there is heat pump, EVs, energy efficiency, building efficiency is top. Renewables, other clean, hydrogen, natural gas, DSR, demand side response. That is typical customer engagement. Okay. So it's that, and storage. But this storage is interseasonal, large ones. So longer, not just few hours. So that's that. The four. This is I touched this before. So the key drivers are those things, and energy sector. Oh, okay. There is not. Remember, I said that the National Grid have a whole team doing this all around the year because they, in fact, doing this modeling work or study work need lots of information. While the energy information they can engage. There are many engagement meetings throughout the year with lots of people. They can get directly, and it's much harder, time-consuming to talk to rail and buses and get information from there. So therefore, apart from energy sector, all the other sector data come from CCC report. So that is also the source information our government use. So the features, I summarize that as in the boxes, but as lots of small reading, a very concise way to understand, compare the differences is this. Falling short is not achieve net zero. So it's the least acceptable scenario. And leading the way can achieve negative. So negative CO2, but needs abundant investment, lots of money. Therefore, in my opinion, personal opinion, I think realistically, we may end up like consumer transformation, some of consumer transformation, some of system transformation. The reason I say that is, I think we see every country there has a hydrogen program initiative. However, UK government has not made decision yet. They will make decision in 2026. So therefore, we can only say potentially, yeah. I think we will do that. It's not. So this that. Oh, this is just some result. In the four scenarios. So 2035, I'll give you these two, only falling short and leading away, because these are two extreme. One is we can't get there. We just do in a manner, steady manner, and another is most aggressive, but also hard. Is maybe lots of money now. We are in crisis of living or energy prices and stuff. So that is to say the customer transformation and system transformation were in between these two scenarios. So this is the findings. Leading way most aggressive, the no natural gas already by 2035. Half of the road and rail being electrified. I think electrify transportation plus hydrogen, maybe hydrogen and electricity, we may have get into a mixed picture in the future and falling short. So let's focus on 2050, which is our ultimate goal. So in 2050, we look at the scenarios. I put customer transformation and system transformation at the top, because I think these two scenarios, they are more likely than the other two, more likely. We could, but we have lost, if we have one day, not today, but have lots of money, we just get on, use, take the technologies, whatever is, whenever it's ready. In my opinion, falling short is not acceptable. I put the least acceptable. So this is the energy balance, supply from the left and consumption on the right. Similar format as our current energy supply and consumption, or demand and supply balance flow chart. They are same. The energy balance when you consider the losses, so in and out. So that diagram, if that diagram too hard to see, I put just extract the key messages of these four scenarios in the four boxes. I've already indicated the difference. Customer transformation means home heating. Home heating and the building insulation. Building insulation, lots of building insulation in work. Otherwise, cannot achieve. Remember, in the next three types of mix, generation mix or consumption mix. Is home heating transport industry and industry largely electrified. That's the customer transformation. High level of energy efficiency and the large-scale electrification lead to lowest energy demand. Electricity generation highest, high renewable, little hydrogen. Yeah, this is another key difference. And therefore, the curtailment is high. Curtailment. We'll talk about curtailment later. What you have to give up, like wind, also not most time. In system transformation, it has highest hydrogen consumption for home heating industry and HGVs. All hydrogen produced in the UK. That means in that sense, in customer transformation, we use hydrogen, we import from other European countries. Highest hydrogen export, biomass used to produce both hydrogen and electricity. So our difference is clear right now. Very, very clear. If you see this table, it gives you actually numbers as well. If you If you see these four numbers, you see customer transformation. By the time if we end up in this scenario, we will have almost the same as leading the way. Customer transformation and leading the way will end up with the smallest energy production and consumption. But while this system transformation we use most, because imagine electrolyzers, you have to transfer energy. The first, you produce, you convert water to hydrogen, and then use hydrogen to produce electricity or do whatever. So you do twice. Yeah, so that's why this is high. Falling short is in the middle. Yeah, falling short. So this is how 2050s scenario. Look at this scenario in another way is from generation mix point of view. You can see this is better than numbers. I did that table first, and then I thought, why not use this? This is clearer and more. You can see the customer transformation. Very obviously, offshore wind is much more than this system transformation. More offshore wind, less. So in terms of energy production, it's also this. No, this is a mix. Why that is some part is negative is because of import. We have interconnectors. Now we have 10 or 11 interconnectors. So that's why in the energy consumption and the generation, it's negative. This is a more narrative to describe what is each scenario, how to get the exact numbers. But the key information in customer transformation is building insulation and heat pumps as a key feature, whereas system transformation is hydrogen for replace today's boiler, natural gas boiler. So that is the key. This graph is actually very interesting. It has lots of information and very condensed information. It's interesting because this graph tells you all the not exact numbers, but the trend, and you can see easily to see the differences between the four scenarios. Very directly, it tells you the installed capacity is not measured in terawatt-hour, but capacity, installed generation capacity to begin with on the y-axis. That's the first piece of information. Second one is peak demand. It's this diamond thing in the middle. They are lower. Yeah, so the demand, the peak demand, this is over the years, how peak demand will change in these four scenarios. So that is not just 1 year, it's a 3 time period. We call it current, 2030, and 2050. So that's that. And also indicate the percentage of decentralized generation. They will grow over the years slowly. So that is what this graph about. But the messages is 2030, the capacity, generation capacity installed will increase from today by 50 to 100%. So lots of construction work. Peak demand up 10 to 20% compared to 2021. In 2050, the capacity will increase from 50% to 100%. Peak demand up 80 to 10. It was because of electrification. heat pumps, electric vehicles, these two, compared to 2020. And then, so you can see the curve. And I have a question I was thinking is, in fact, the capacity factor or utilization of assets utilization is lower than today. Today, we have just over 100 gigawatts to supply a peak demand in winter is 62 or 65 or 60 something. And by 2030, our peak demand didn't increase very much, maybe only 10%, or in some scenarios is 20%. But the assets we're going to build is twice as much as today. Twice. Just look at the bar chart. And by 2050, even more. Even more. So what I'm thinking is, when we evaluate which scenario is better or more suitable, put it that way, if we don't use which one is good, which one is bad, but which one is better than another, I think we have to consider all of this. This is definitely this one. Because another question will come up is, what is the efficiency of investment? The beauty of this report, of FED studies, it didn't tell, because I had lots of meetings with national grid recently, different ones. There's another one in May, another one in June, but not on phase, but on the balancing market changes, optimization, system optimizations. So I think it just depending on how we see this. How we see this. Well, we can spend many billions to build this. And then, today, we don't know what other disruptive technology we can have by that time. Maybe I hope, or we will have more other disruptive technology can help us to reduce the construction. Look at this, 350 built so much. Well, everywhere is construction site by that. Yeah, in the next 20 plus years. Yeah, everywhere, basically. So this I put on the bottom. I just want to share with you. It's not to challenge anybody. Say this, they are not. Yeah, I'm sure they think about this as well, because we debated this. I think it was in February in London, and not exactly this efficiency of investment. When I was in McDonald's, I managed, I did lots of different roles. One period, I was a professional excellence director, and I had 8 initiatives of leading edge technologies. One was smart grid. The spirit of smart grid, or smart whatever, is efficiency of investment. There's no doubt. Though, of course, there are some countries, they just want to show off how much money they have. That's a different matter. Okay, let's look at what our mission will be in 2050. So in this, all the scenarios, we already know falling short cannot meet net zero. This is graphs. Yeah. Graphs. The first one, that one, I try to get the same sequence so people get used to it, not a shift. So, customer transformation, system transformation, and leading way, no problem for reach zero. Actually, it's negative, because I already know. So, energy sector, the whole economy, energy sector is net zero by 2035. But the whole economy could be zero by 2050. In fact, we're negative in these 3 scenarios already. That's good news. So this considered all kind of GHGs, greenhouse gases. Consider all of them together. Yeah. Convert them. That's why you hear the news. People in invented some, I don't know what stuff putting in to feed cows to make them to emit less. I don't know whether, but that's it. Yeah. So we're working on that. We know 2050 will. I think every time I go to these meetings, I think everybody come very confident. Say, yeah, we can do it. We must do it. We can do it. Yes, we can do it. I'm also a believer of net zero. Yeah. Because I didn't believe that it comes in 2000 and it happened. I didn't believe those things. Yeah. History proved I was wrong. So challenges. What challenges we have? I think maybe, yeah, let's talk start from transmission. The generation, we know technology, but on the generation side, we have onshore wind, offshore wind, batteries, solar and stuff. Of course, all of them need improved efficiency because currently solar is very, very low. Yeah, very low. Not talking about the number of hours of sunshine. If we set 100% sunshine, the conversion is still very low compared with others. So I'm sure that will improve. Lots of things will improve. We just focus on specifically on the transmission distribution side. So we have to handle intermittency to begin with. We know this for a few years, quite a long time. Fluctuation, non-dispatchable. Non-dispatchable can cause problems to the power system, especially at night when people don't use. Second challenge is weather dependency. There are some times when systems have problems because just like hydro, there are cycles. We have like wind-rich years. Hydro is wet year, dry year, and average year. It's very similar. Wind have this. So weather dependency is volume, energy yield volume affected. Reduce inertia in the system. So this was not the same because when electricity was invented, we used coal, and of course naturally we used the steam generator, which is a synchronized machine. So when power system, lots of people know Diliaco, when he started the concept of large power system run by control center, all the machines connected, all the electricity power plant connected, they all synchronized machines. So naturally there's inertia there, plenty. But now today it's reducing fast. So therefore that caused lots of problem. And of course increased inverter-based resources. All the renewables, they are all inverter-based. So a problem, harmonics, peak units, and frequency control, frequency response, or frequency management means lead to enhance. We need to do something to improve the flexibility. Flexibility was not an issue because the old power system has got that anyway. If you have 100 megawatts gas, for instance, gas turbines, you can run at 70 and you leave another 20 megawatts as peaking plants, one during tea time, and leave another 10 as frequency control. I worked in control centers before, so I know these things. It's just not the issue at all, but now it's all become a problem. Voltage regulation, and there are two separate things. Voltage regulation is the same. Thermal constraints is another thing. Yeah. Voltage, especially in wind farms and stuff, is an issue. But the good thing is, in recent years, this situation being improved because we have more technologies to fix this. Voltage, yeah. And thermal constraints is partly to do, of course, we want to use assets more, use current assets more, not spending too much money to build new things. And also our planning permission also stop us building new lines or upgrade our transmission line. So they become an issue. Distribution is similar. There are more and more distributed energy resources connected, like in your house. You can put solar power on your roof. You also, if you live in a farm, you can have a windmill, and you use it, and you send the spare electricity to grid, to distribution networks, and then cause a problem of like two-directional power flows. Because in the old days, or when the power system built, especially distribution, the equipment can only handle, or the protection setting was made to handle one-way power flow. Now it's two-way. I want to use my battery in the car to send to the grid during the peak hours, so I can get paid. Later on, I can show you can make money, but how you can, yeah. So this is all challenges, and of course, and always we remember in our country, I don't know whether it's DEC or object, it's trilemma. Electricity trilemma is security, number one, which means reliability of supply. And then second is sustainability, being environmental friendly. The third one is value for money, so not too expensive. In other words, is can we get least cost power supply? So that's that trilemma. And also, of course, this is temporary geopolitics. It's high gas price. So I think when we work on the scenarios, this set up 4 scenarios and modeling things and consider different technologies, we have to consider all these things together: physics, economics, and politics. How? Then later on, I'll give you another example. And actually, when we design the future energy market, what principles shall we take? So this comes to my next part. Is changes required? What changes required? We know what we know our goal. That 4 scenario is our goal, and we also know challenges. And now, what changes? DES now is leading a program called REMA, Reform of Electricity Market Arrangements. So they look at how to one is enhance the security of supply and reduce the bill, and also encourage more technologies, use more technologies. So the objective of REMA is a major review to the GB electricity market designed to radically enhance energy security and in the long term. And secondly, is a changes to the wholesale market, means balancing program, to mitigate impact of volatile gas price on electricity. The third one is reduce bills, electricity bills. Key points in REMA is introducing incentive for customers to generate or use electricity in peak or trough, in peak or trough. So ideal situation is you can delay or not using much electricity. During peak hours in our country is 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We call it tea time. Tea time, that is when business still ongoing. Some homes start doing the dinner. I think most for the house have children, young children. When they finish school, they get hungry. So that is the first point. Second point, the reforming capacity market to increase storage and low carbon flexibility technologies. So when we talk about the electricity market, lots of people think, oh yeah, we know, power pool. UK started power pool from March 1990s. And then 10 years later, we reform. We have NETA, New Electricity Trading Arrangement. And then afterwards it was beta. Beta was but beta and NETA is very similar. It's coming. So that is a real-time trading system. In fact, we also, I can't remember which year, I think maybe more than 10 years ago, we set up, it was DEC, set up with capacity payment. It was looking at investment market, long term. If you are a developer, how do you know you can make money, or if you build new facilities, power plants, for instance. So that is investment market is also changing. So and remember, decoupling gas generation price and renewables to lower overall price. This is actually as a compromise of, in my view, is nodal pricing versus lunar pricing. I will come to that later. So, what's wrong with current market? I put it maybe too blunt. So the wholesale short-term market, NETA, had two issues. One is it is a national market where a price in a settlement period, which is half hour, still half hour, is set by most expensive unit. So merit order dispatch. In other words, despite so does not, what that means is it does not matter what is your offer price or bid price you put in. The whole country will just look at that most expensive unit. In the past, system marginal price was used in planning study, because I did planning many years ago, more than 20 years, 30 years ago. For the long term, you get least cost planning for 20 years or how many years, 10 years period. You consider the system marginal price is for that reason. But power pool use that for simplicity. Now, question is, shall we still use it? Carry on use that? So this, I think this is very much system marginal price driven. It's understandable when we had a power pool, because we straight come out from CEGB and now we have market. We split to 3 companies to compete, despite 2 companies got gas and coal, another company just British nuclear, just nuclear. It's not much to compete. They can bid 0 cost every day. They still get paid a lot. So so no indication of location, despite the cost differences, and also ignoring all other costs as well. So all of these people did not like what I was saying, nodal price or locational price, despite if we do live in a reality. We pay, for instance, when you buy a house, you pay house different. If you have 4-bedroom house, you pay different price in different village, not just different county. Why you can accept that? Why you cannot accept the electricity price different? Anyway, so this is trade. So another message I would like to give you is that, in fact, wholesale power market is very complex. It was set up by economists and mathematicians and doing lots of formula stuff. In fact, most electricity in terms of volume is bought and sold by contract, PPAs. In the UK or in GB, we call it a contract for difference. But now you go back, the trend is go back to call it PPA. So it is PPA. Yeah. So that's that. And also, So this inverter-based resources, like collectively we call it inverter-based IBR, is wind, solar. Those people, they are more, those units are more expensive than transport. Why? It's because system operator or ESO, electricity system operator, have to spend money to install lots of stuff to make a good grid forming. So it's expensive. As renewable, building renewable itself is not expensive, but that is. This is just explain how system marginal price is set. I already mentioned is the last unit being called. They start with the cheapest and look at second cheapest, and then getting more expensive. Oh, still not. Until one point, meet demand. So supply demand met. That point, so is that unit set. I put this graph doing that way. Set the price. Yeah, I'll give you an example of how this works. Now, there are lots of stuff. I don't have my watch. You have to watch. If I go too long, you have to stop me. What is time now?
You can go on a little bit longer, but start to.
Okay, wrap up. Yeah. Okay then. So this is what National Grid do. Design new market. Design new market. The current market is international because we've been discussing this for years. Ofgem, and every time there are people always against. Say, it's too expensive. Just change the IT system. It's not good. It was a great deal because of amount of data we can handle was one biggest showstopper, but it's no longer. So this is a net zero market reform. You see lots of reports release or workshops and lots of meetings on this topic. And every now and then they have lots of new products. Change all the time. Now, in the center of, there are many new things, as I mentioned. For instance, this dynamic containment, I said already, dynamic moderation and regulation. So all this, on the bottom, all this, they are the products, National Grid. Some of them already been tested or being tested. Some of them is in discussion. So I was involved, have been involved in lots of these discussions. Yeah. But the center of this is a balancing mechanism. Balancing is electricity trading market, is wholesale market, because the volume through this is big in money terms than others. Others, you sometimes journalists give you short news. The price is so expensive. It's, for instance, £700 per megawatt hour. It is very expensive with that price. But I didn't tell you, or people may not know, that price only lasts 15 minutes because they are all just doing some bit of frequency response. In terms of how many pounds, it didn't say. So that is what National Grid is doing. Looking at this market and redesign the current market need change. And actually, there was a launch session in March 2022, more than a year ago, where National Grid submit a report to recommend nodal pricing to Ofgem. And a few months later, I heard Ofgem. Yeah, how other people come in, so they didn't like it. So this is in the world. If we look at what there are many countries all have this electricity market. Despite United Kingdom was the first country implement electricity market in 1989 or 1990, between that time. sometimes we use the date of March 1990 at the time, you see. So the principles when we design electricity market, we need to be open, transparent, fair, equal, freedom of choice, because electricity is a commodity, and also ensure security of supply, and also send the right signal to investors to encourage people to build, participate as a developer. And also need to consider tempo and locational, so time intervals, either half hour, 1 hour, or 15 minutes, and granularity. That is also quite very important as well. These are the three different main markets. One is the single market. I used to call it single node. So the whole country is just like one node. Actually, we have hundreds, maybe thousands of nodes. We just consider one price without worrying about the location. So the middle one is zonal pricing. The right-hand side one is nodal pricing. This is the one I like most, but does not mean like other people like. So I think it's more precise, and you will see from the example why it is cheaper for customers, for energy consumers. Around the world, there are different countries. Some countries adopt national, some adopt zonal, some adopt nodal pricing. You talk to 10 people. Yeah.
Can I just ask, if we came to nodal pricing or zonal pricing, what sort of differences did you find between the nodes?
Yeah, I come to the example.
All right.
Yeah, I have examples here. So this is not the example I give. This was actually in a meeting with very well respectable consultant. They did this piece of work, and they are operating nodal pricing in the country for many years for us issues. So this is the example to show national market. If there is national market, we have this two generators in one place, and where the demand is 300, one generator capacity 200, another 300, and that's in area A. Area B is demand 500, generator 3, 300, generator 4, 200. To work out the price, the way to work out the price, if we use the national market or single node market, what we do is we begin with the cheapest, £20, and then that's not enough to meet 800. Okay, we go to 300, that's 500 build that, and that's still not enough. That's only 500, and then we come to the 300. So these three units, generator 1, 2, 3, can meet demand. In a situation, no system constraints. Now, using this to work out the price, I will show you in a table. My table is easy to see than this building block, how they balancing. So the way they do this is the system marginal price. The clearing price is £45 because that's the most expensive unit. Say that. However, however, there is a transmission constraint between this line. So therefore, not the whole 300 can send. They only can send 50 over. So therefore, they have to buy back from generation 2. I will use a table to explain this. In the end, you work out the total cost to the consumer in this scenario to supply 800 is 39,750 in the national market. Next is zonal market. Area A, area B treat as two different locations, and then still 800 megawatts demand need to be met. So using zonal theory, we use everything set up is the same. It's 15 megawatts limit, transmission limit. We work out the total cost to consumer is 31,000. But because we have a congestion surplus on the line, transmission line, that will charge 1,250 pounds. Adding that to the bill, the total bill would be 32,500. This is in a zonal approach. And then next, I made the comparison. So use this table. This is how I work out. So the first table is giving information, bid or generated bid or offer on the top. And this is a dispatch, how dispatch order has been done. So £45 clearing price. And in a zonal situation, each zone allowed to have the different clearing price. So therefore, Zone A is £25, Zone B is £50. But there is transmission surplus charge in between. So by now we already know that zonal pricing is cheaper than national pricing. So easy way, without looking at the detailed numbers, you just think because they have this zone, they have different clearing price. Okay, yeah. The next one is node pricing. And all the examples, real examples, but this real example have an issue. The demand is smaller, but they work out how the cost was 14,000. So what I did is, this is just is for demonstration. So I use this exactly same assumption, 800 megawatts demand, and still there's 4 units. We use nodal pricing to work out the total cost is 26,250. So therefore, nodal pricing is cheapest for end user. However, there are other considerations, as I said earlier. Now I wrap up. This is the very last part. How you can get involved. Okay. So we already know electricity must be a power system or must be operated to make the demand supply meet demand, or you reduce demand supply balance second by second. This is the nature because the frequency and the voltage, lots of other things. So this is fundamental requirements, energy balance, second by second. And second point, I skipped that, I said already. The third point, demand side response. Actually, you must know this because they started this 30 years ago. I see, well, of course, I very admire or respect who never propose frequency, demand frequency services. It's really good. It's really, really clever. You can think about it. In the past, I wouldn't bother consider every household, and this is consider every household. So very good, but in nature, it is type of demand side response, which we do this for a long time, actually, very successful. So power system needs flexibility by adjusting either supply or demand, making it flexible. So that is background. This is the key part. This is the key part. The last one from this last page. Who can participate demand side, demand flexibility services? One is you must have smart meters. Otherwise, how do you know how much you reduce or you reduce? So DFS was launched last year in winter. So the winter 22-23 would start with October to March, 6 months. And now we are in summer season. So there were 12 tests events happened. And I think the most attractive thing is this price, the tariff is horrendous, it's very lucrative. £3 per kilowatt hour or 3,000 is very high. It's very high. I'll give you a comparison. This graph will give you a comparison. It's much higher than day-ahead market. It is higher, also not higher than the real-time market. So this price is a gap. According to the meeting we had last week, in the next season, like in October, November time, the National Grid will continue to use this gap, this volume. Lots of people concerned, are you going to reduce? I said, oh, no, because the volume is quite small. We do testing, a few hundred megawatts altogether. So the way how you can participate is, you need to register with your supplier, whenever it's your supplier, or you choose a supplier whenever they offer this service. Alternatively is you go to aggregator. I haven't tried yet, so because I have fixed tariff, which is good, or expire soon this time. You can register. This is a website. You go to National Grid website. You look at approved suppliers and approved aggregator, and you register with them, and they will notify you and they will measure you. At the moment, what happened in the last 12 tests is lots of customers oversupply. For instance, you said, if they ask you, okay, how much do you want to do? Say on Thursday, today is Tuesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. But in fact, you did longer. You started before, or you extended it to next hour. So they still pay. But in the future, they will have different rules to make you can, if you schedule, say, I want to supply all 3 hours, I'm not using my fridge, freezer, or all this heater stuff. You can, but they want you to bid first rather than instant. So test has done, and this 3,000 per megawatt hour price tariffs will continue. So as you can see from this graph, this price is absolutely like a ceiling price. Because somebody said there is one-time price, dynamic price was higher than this, but it was very unusual. So that's all from me today. Sorry about if I went too long.
Thank you very much. Now
so
some questions. Are you prepared to answer
Oh,
questions?
yes, you see, I come to this.
Good.
What the future holds?
Want to keep that on, so you can answer some questions.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, questions. Greg first, and then.
The demand flexibility troubles me because I can postpone using my dishwasher, but the big source of energy consumption in my house is the heat pump, which has got a lot of software saying, well, the temperature outside is this, the house loses heat at this rate, therefore, in order to keep the flow temperature as low as possible, the efficiency as high as possible, I'm going to run continuously. And you're asking it now to turn itself off for an hour or two at a time when it really doesn't want to do that.
Okay. I think, I think the high operating hours of your heat pump is in winter because it's for heating, and this DFS is only run in winter because in summer the system does not need it. Yeah, how these two pieces software. I think you can ask your supplier. The heat pump situation software is not unique. Yeah, so they may have a way I think you can set it. You can choose. If you choose, heat pumps must run all the time. You skip that, and you can save on other stuff.
Or the storage radiator.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Most interesting analysis, and there's a lot to take in. Interesting. But my big question is, all this is basically focused on the UK. And we produce, is it less than 1% of the world's carbon? Do you see any move to try and control Russian tariff, whatever, the imported carbon, when we buy in steel, cement, Chinese goods, whatever? That's what really worries me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Because I remember when Nick Winsor was still executive director in National Grid, he hosted the meeting and was the most inspiring one. And I represented the company I worked before, More McDonald was there, and also other delegates asked exactly the same questions. Because say if even Siemens, they make switchgear themselves, but lots of parts were produced in third country. And two things, one is whether that third country have carbon data. Second question, even they have, how much we can trust that data. So I think in the end, after lots of debate, despite difficulties, and this maybe not exactly consistent with the whole global supply chain, so we have to try to get that into, because all the constructions, they consider that.
Question here.
So for a long time, we've had a very small proportion of our electricity generated from oil. Is that just backup generators across the country?
Yes, Black Star unit, they are oil, but that's one thing. And also, oil units always most expensive, even like 20 years ago now. One is backup, another maybe is frequency control. That's what common sense. I don't know exactly how much oil we had 30 years ago here.
Early on, one of your first slides showed a country, and it showed the losses due to transmission. If we were to move to modular nuclear power, and we distribute that evenly across the south-east, would that not reduce the amount of transmission costs and losses? Because at the moment, here in the south-east, we don't have a power station, but the nearest one is at Innsmouth. So if we could reduce the amount of power being transmitted through the power lines, we would reduce the losses that we get, even if it's 20%. So therefore, if you take your calculations that we have modular power stations down here, we could reduce the transmission losses that we currently have.
Of course, I think this is in the public domain. There were reports done by two consultants. One was in EA technology, another was McDonald. The siting of nuclear, that was published. The report is in the public domain. You can see. At the time, looked all the existing or old fleet of nuclear power plants, plus some coal plants. Because those plants have got infrastructure already, like transmission lines, roads and stuff. That's an ideal situation. In fact, IET, there was IET talk on the SMRs. Rolls-Royce also mentioned it's very, it's very, very logical to think to use the site, our current site.
I have a question which follows on, and then you're next. Okay. Very interesting point on the small nuclear reactors, the mini nukes, and the other point is how quickly can they switch on and off? Because suppose you have many nukes next to a wind farm, then the wind farm suddenly starts generating a lot of electricity, and you want to reduce the power out from your nuclear reactor. I mean, how can you do your balancing under those situations?
Nuclear power plants cannot do balancing, cannot. For two reasons. One is the easy one, easy understanding one is nuclear is always baseload across the world. It's cheaper because once you put that watt in, nuclear fuel in, you just run it. If you reduce it, it does not save you any money. In fact, it will do opposite and will cause nuclear safety issue. The main thing is for the nuclear safety things, we do not change level. Having said that, there are some manufacturers say, oh yeah, we are working on that. We can adjust because our grid code actually require every power plant dispatch as what you require. Our UK grid code. They say that they can do on a certain small range. In fact, you just let nuclear run and always run. But maybe in the future the SMRs could, but that's not economical and may cost more money to get them to do this.
But earlier you actually mentioned the two routes, essentially a hydrogen route or a no hydrogen route, the two different main starting scenarios,
Yeah.
but then you introduce three starting scenarios. But if you cited a hydrogen electrolysis plant next to every mini nuke, whenever the load wasn't required from that, you could just switch it to generating hydrogen.
That's what they do now.
They
And,
do that.
Yeah,
How far is that done?
Yeah, how far? How many years take us to build Hinkley? So, I think for the hydrogen things, more realistic, more common, popular one is attached to offshore wind. Because we build lots of offshore wind and are still building. The developers, investors still can't.
Question at the back.
I don't know if this is an unfair question to ask, but the thing I've taken away from this is talk about the government as leading strategy for the UK's energy. That's the impression I've got. Is that the case, or is the supplier leading the country? So is the government leading the country's energy supply, or is it the supply chain that's leading the energy supply? And built on that is, we've heard about the REMA. There was a meeting in July 22. I just wonder if it's the government that's doing the REMA reform, or if we're going to see anything come out of it, before Christmas this year. So it's kind of like everyone's feeling the pain with the energy cost, and it's really good to see the scenarios, but it kind of feels like if the government's leading this, is that going to be something that happens anytime soon? If it's the supply chain leading it, it's more chance. So I'm just sort of curious, as someone who's in the industry, who's leading all of this stuff? Because the government's made a commitment, but what can we expect in the next year and the next 5 years in real terms?
I think the answer to your question, the government leading on the policy side. The government, we set policy, we set our target, and this gives you a clear indication. You know where to invest, you know what to produce. So they have done that. In terms of REMA, they mainly work on the investment market. So the truth is, in the DEC time, they set up investment market and the CFD, contract for difference, just like PPA, to give investors more confidence for the long-term investment. So therefore, they know which one, the benchmark, the strike price. However, now they are changing. It's already announced in the public domain in one of the latest round 5. The volume of the money is smaller than before. On the other hand, it's fair because offshore wind, more you build, you get more mature, the price should come down. So that was government think. And why supply chain is so keen? And it's not, I think operator for National Grid, for instance, I think this role is written in the license condition. They have a role to do this. Otherwise, they would not bother. Everything they do, they have evidence to say, look, in our license condition, this clause, we do this, therefore we do that. So and of course, supply chain is very keen, is because there's money to be made and they can grow the business as well. Government lead, but they don't do details. Supply chain, sort it out.
Okay. There's another question here.
Yeah.
Can you just go back to slide 17?
That what?
Slide 17, there are some acronyms that I was actually...
Oh, 17.
Yeah.
Go back 17. 20. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the bottom there is actually ACS, and then also those acronyms in the bottom.
Well, here.
Yeah, those and the next one.
Oh, this. Okay. BECCS is bioenergy, carbon capture storage. And the next one, gas, is gas. CCUS, carbon capture usage and storage.
And then the FES,
Oh, ACS, average cold spell. It's very... The average cold spell is to define how you decide what is peak demand. So in our system, how do you make the peak demand? So average cold spell means you take 3 highest demand during winter months. I think it's November to February, so that's 3 months. Take that and average. Use that as for this purpose, as peak demand.
FES?
Where is that?
in front of the ACS.
In front of us, oh, FES. FES is a future energy scenario. Sorry about this. I didn't give you I didn't give you an explanation over here. Yeah. Good, yeah.
Okay, right. I think we would like to now show our appreciation in a moment, because one of the things I'm going to do is to also show the IET's appreciation by a little certificate, which you might like to show to whoever you wish to prove you were here, and we all appreciated it, and a little gift, which is actually a rather small electrical storage system for a phone. But right. So I think we've had a really wonderful, comprehensive talk. I had no idea there was so much detail and so much interesting factors and so much to do with people reacting in the right way and so on. It's a really nice system. And I think we would like to now show our appreciation for the comprehensive, I've used the word already once, but I'll use it again, comprehensive way in which Aijuan has educated us all. Well worth 1 hour of CPD if you want to do it.